I think property is spectacularly ill-suited to making money in the short term, because you can do it, like you can buy somewhere and flip it and take your money out and do it again or whatever, but it's so much work, it's so hard, you need so much, you're tying up so much cash and taking on so much risk doing that compared to other ways of getting the same kind of return.
But that's what social media pushes on people, isn't it? That kind of like BRRRR or whatever. No money down, rent to rent. What's the Fifth Army?
You know, they're telling me I don't need a deposit for a house. I'm like, what do you mean?
It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
You don't have money for deposit. Don't worry, I'll sort you out. Come join my course and I'll get you on the ladder. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a perfect confluence of get rich quick and people are naturally attracted to property. Yeah. And so you like put it together.
Perfect storm.
You can make money.
It's just like Forex trading in investing, right? It's the exact same mentality of like, I can show you how to do this with no money and get really rich really quick. But for some reason people latch onto that and think that that's the majority.
And is it possible? Yeah. Do people do it? Yeah, some do, but most don't. And it's like, if it's far more, I think there's so many better ways to make money in the short term than property, but then for somewhere to store money and compound it over the long term, because of this inflation effect and the leverage aspect, I think it makes property amazing for that. So what we see, our clients tend to be business owners, high earners, people who are generating the cash somewhere else, and then they're putting it into property, going like, well, great, because I can see this over 20 years, this is going to do super well for me. As maybe they invest in other things as well, maybe they don't, but that's completely different from someone who's going to come in and go like, right, I want to retire next year, or like I want to replace my job. It's something you hit so often. And
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and now I know I need to buy all the assets in the world, but I got $5,000.
Yeah. It's just so you can do it, but it's so hard.
So, okay, let's talk. You mentioned now about research and the depth of research people need to do. That can feel quite overwhelming. Have you got any tips or like ways that people can do that more effectively?
Well, we can put together like a page of resources, maybe you can link or something, because we've got like a calculator, like a spreadsheet that will help you calculate your returns. And we've got like hundreds or probably thousands now of podcasts and YouTube episodes. So basically all the information is out there. It's all free. It's just finding your way to the right bits at the right time and putting yourself on this self-education course and basically discounting all the hype stuff straight away and definitely not paying to go on a course for any of this stuff, but just like the information's all there, but you have to invest the time to learn what you need to learn, both on the investment side, but also the legislation side. Even if you're using a letting agent, you need to know what they're meant to be doing, so you can see if they're doing it. And so there's a lot. I haven't really answered your question because
you'll give us a link.
So I'll give you a link
that's great.
that kind of curates some
of the best bits.
Yeah, exactly. That'll get you started.
I use your spreadsheet calculator thing. Can you put that there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I think if you'd have answered that in one sentence, I'd have been worried. If you'd have gone, well, just do this,
Yeah.
If it multiplies by 5, then that's it. Like you just say you need to do loads of research. I think it's probably more useful if we link to resources. So,
definitely.
No, amazing. Thank you. You said that then people with one flat, like this kind of stereotypical, we move in together, we've got one flat, we'll rent that out. You don't think that works anymore. But then you were talking about how, if you have a long-term view, don't worry too much about today. Mm-hmm. Can you explain like why?
Yeah, I think it's mainly on the tax side. So something that we see a lot is, because I won't go into the mechanics of how it's all taxed, it's really boring and confusing. But the gist of it is, if you've got an income that puts you into the higher rate tax bracket, then your property income is not treated favourably. So it's quite hard to. It's hard to make a meaningful amount of money, if anything, from just the rent. And that's what people always used to do. I think it was very common in like our parents' generation to look at it as like, great, every property is like an extra 300 quid or whatever. Now, I think that just doesn't really work anymore. So yeah, if you do hold on to a home that you used to live in, then you will have the capital growth element of that over the long term. But then you've also got all the risk and the hassle attached to it. So like, you've got to take like, will you make more from that with leverage than you would from investing in the stock market over the long term? Probably, because of the leverage aspect. But you've also got a load tied up in a single asset. You've got all the risk, all the hassle and everything else. So you need to be convinced that it's worthwhile for you to do that. Well, I'm not saying black and white, don't do it, it never works. I'm just saying, I think it used to be the default and now you have to think about it much more carefully.
Even with a limited company?
But you wouldn't own it in a limited company. That's the thing.
Yeah, they got to get it into the limited company, and then they got to sell it to the limited company. So then there's a stamp duty. So they basically,
yeah, you can't.
They get, like to get it inside the structure that Rob thinks is beneficial. They'd pay a load of money, which probably
only works if you
So
have
you think like
multiple.
just sell it, and maybe you could set up a company with the money from the sale or something, or like a director's loan into a business if you want to go down the investment route.
Yeah, you can do. It's very dependent to each person's situation, because like you do get you get situations where it can work out fine, but just looking at for the majority of situations that we come across and what we get people writing to us about in our Sunday Times column and stuff like that, it's mostly the case that by the time you factor in the sheer the cost, the hassle, the tax position, everything else, it just doesn't look that attractive. If it's still the option that you prefer for whatever reason, that makes the one that you're going to stick with and not panic about, and it makes you relaxed and happy and all the rest of it, fine.
That was a clip from our full-length episode with Rob Dix. To watch the full thing, click right here.